This is the Uprising Revival. Welcome to today's show. Who else other than Disney would bring content like this to children? You know, the same place that has the Magic Kingdom, Club 33, Walt Disney, who was responsible, one of the big faces of the Demolay movement, the Freemasonic Demolays, of course, Club 33, that's the Freemasonic restaurant that they have in Disney that nobody asks questions about. The Demolays are the children who are groomed by Freemasons, who are brought in, and not just for the grooming that you would think of. I'm talking grooming into secret societies. That's how we have our Congress infiltrated, corporations infiltrated by these people who all worship Lucifer. So who is surprised when Disney Plus comes out and says there's a new show they picked up where the plot is a teen falling in love with the devil? That's right, and wait until you hear the plot. It is unbelievable. And again, how Lucifer is portrayed as the protagonist, which means as the good guy in these shows, once again, as I've been talking about for years. And of course, Christians portrayed as the bad guy. And that's how we've gotten this world so inverted. And that's why we see so much hatred towards Christians. It's just seed planting that they've been using in television shows and the media for decades now. And especially now more so than ever. So Disney, who is, of course, just known for pushing witchcraft and sorcery, but people don't seem to realize that when they look at Disney, right? They just go, Disney? Oh, it's so magical. Oh, wait, did I say magical? Oh, right, that's magic, witchcraft, sorcery. You know, the things that people were getting hung for, right? Hundreds of years ago, not even that long ago. Because of what? Well, the things that were involved, not because they didn't like the way witches looked or smelled, which still, I mean, does factor in because they all kind of look the same, which is grotesque, and they do smell like sulfur, but they were doing it because witches were performing witchcraft, and usually these spells that they were casting involved children, right? This goes back to Baal worship in the Old Testament. So Disney isn't hiding the fact that even in their logo with the 666, all the things I've covered over the years, everybody knows Disney's one of the most obvious. They have CIA headquarters underneath. They got the Mickey Mouse Club where all these celebrities were all groomed, like Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, Ryan Gosling. I mean, you can go through the list. They're all groomed there. And then they go out and they influence people's behavior. It's about behavioral control, right? Remember Larry Fink talking about that? It's one of the big things that's going on now. They're controlling people's behavior. They're making you adjust and edit how you talk and what you say because you're afraid that you might sound controversial. And this all ties in with communism to eventually not be able to speak like 1984 because you're afraid you're going to get arrested for speaking, right? Well, all this stuff goes back to Disney. And the CIA worked through Disney to have these little kids, and then the kids watch the Mickey Mouse Club, and then those people that grow up to be Britney Spears, right? And the same people that watched Britney as a kid, watch Britney as an adult, and then they watch Britney become a whore, and then they start dressing that way, and they start acting that way. That's how the influence control works on society. So this show is called Pauline, Teen Falling in Love with the Devil. Now going to be put on Disney Plus. It doesn't exactly sound like something you expect to see on Disney Plus, according to this article. No, it sounds exactly what I'd expect to see. On paper, at least, but Deadline reports today that Disney Plus has given the green light to a German series titled Pauline, which comes from the same team behind Netflix's show How to Sell Drugs Online Fast. So that sounds like something that Disney would want to team up with, people who made a show called How to Sell Drugs Online Fast. I mean, what this world has become openly, and still people aren't doing anything about it. It's pretty insane. But Pauline is said to be a coming-of-age story, so don't expect too much horror here. Here, ready for the plot? The site details, Pauline follows an 18-year-old who accidentally becomes pregnant from a one-night stand. With school stress, the climate crisis, and the downfall of society weighing heavily on her mind, something she doesn't need at all right now is catching feelings, especially not for her one-night stand, Lucas, who, as it turns out, is the devil himself. This sounds like something you expect from Disney. So look at all the agendas you have in there. Society weighing on her mind, right? So influential control, society, behavioral control. But more so than that, she gets knocked up, but one of the things that's really concerning her is the climate crisis, of course. You know, the climate crisis, for those of you that don't know, which is probably another one of the main reasons they threw me off YouTube, is they don't want people to realize that they control and manipulate the weather with technology. Even though they've openly admitted it in Vietnam with Operation Popeye, even though you could look at even shows that they put out there on the History Channel and stuff where they show how they can make earthquakes. It goes back to Tesla. All this stuff is right in front of our faces. But people, again, they can't realize that humans would actually do stuff like this, that they would create devastation, that they would kill, even though we've been taught this throughout even learning fake history, right? We've learned from empires and different cultures of how they've treated humans, people in power. But people don't want to believe that. So this girl's pregnant, but she's more concerned about the climate crisis, the control system, right? She's not concerned about the carbon footprint, of course. She's concerned about the weather. It's too hot on a someday, and then, the next day the cattle are just found dead conveniently, right? Because remember, when you could blame it on the climate, you can get away with it. It's a boogeyman. The government's always going to blame everything they can on the boogeyman. Afghanistan or Al-Qaeda, whatever, Osama bin Laden, they blame it on Putin, the destruction of our economy, all the stuff you see going on here. They just keep blaming it on things. Well, nobody here in America, so you can't, if no one takes responsibility and they blame it on a boogeyman, everyone just has to go along with it. And of course, we're seeing an uptick in tornadoes in America. We're seeing tornadoes in states that never have had tornadoes before. You're seeing animals just croak. You're seeing places get drilled with hurricane after hurricane. So this is all done by design. This is them destroying. This is them blaming on the climate, of course, and then the climate system that'll come in place. They'll say, look, we have no choice, or the climate and the environment's going to destroy us. So we all need to live in smart cities. We all need to have carbon footprints, which means we can't leave, which means we have to stay indoors. Pretty much the precursor was COVID, right? The quarantining and all that stuff. They were examining the contact tracing, right, on your phone. I mean, this is all the precursors for the climate agenda, which is Agenda 2030, which is right around the corner. And this is exactly, as you've seen, liberals are clamoring for it because they like to bend over and take it because that's the kind of people that they are, right? They enjoy being controlled, and they put government above everything else. So this show, of course, is going to put Satan in the role of the protagonist, because why wouldn't they? This says Pauline follows the protagonist, who's an 18-year-old, like I said earlier, who becomes pregnant from the one-night stand. So she ends up dating the devil himself. She's actually impregnated by the devil himself. So I guess, the child might be the Antichrist, but this is stuff that Disney's putting out there, stuff that parents are just putting their kids in front of the TV and thinking it's safe because they're brain dead. And obviously it's most people you look at as liberal, and it goes on both sides, but most of the parents grew up watching Disney. So they feel like, well, I'm not in a cult or anything like that, but they don't realize that a lot of their, the things that they're influenced by are brought on by these things that they watch when they're kids. And they don't realize that, oh, wow, they're like, oh, magic doesn't exist. Oh, yeah? You like Disney? Like, yeah. Oh, okay, let's go through every single Disney movie and see how many of them talk about magic and witchcraft and sorcery. Sorcerer's Apprentice, Snow White, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, the Rose, right? The Magic Rose. I mean, all of them. Going to things like Harry Potter, which I don't even know if specifically is Disney. I know that they have the Harry Potter ride at Disney, right? Magic Kingdom. I mean, what more do you, people are like, I don't see this stuff you're talking about. You don't see it. It's right there. You see the plot? Yeah, but that's not what they mean. It's about, magic doesn't mean that. It means love and accept. Oh, right. This all ties in with the satanic agenda. So this is being promoted by Disney, of course, because, well, who else would promote this to children? And they know that parents will sit their kids in front of the TV and say, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal that, she's upset about the climate crisis and the downfall of society, and she got knocked up by the devil himself, and she's got feelings for him. And then, of course, I'm sure the devil will be betrayed as a wonderful guy, right? He'll be really great. And here's quotes from the makers of the show. For a long time, the series has been and still remains a project very close to our hearts. We're thrilled that Disney Plus loves this coming-of-age story. Coming-of-age story. Or coming of age just meant like, I don't know. What's a coming of age? I'm trying to think off the top of my head a coming of age movie where they used to say, oh, it's a coming of age story. Like where somebody kind of like finds themselves as far as like, oh, this is the path I want to go on in my life. Like, oh, I've found Christianity, or I've found a career that I want to be a veterinarian or something. Like, oh, it's a coming of age story. This person was, homeless, and then they, those types of things. No, it's a coming of age story about a woman who gets knocked up by the devil and falls in love with him. Yeah, it's real coming of age. So we're thrilled that Disney Plus loves the coming of age story as much as we do, and that we've now been able to begin filming with such an amazing cast and crew. A coming of age story because every teen girl gets pregnant and then falls in love with Satan, right? That's, what we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen. So this, of course, coming from Disney. Parents need to be aware. I mean, at this point, if you're following my channel, I'm sure you're well versed in this, but I'm putting this up on YouTube so that people can see this stuff. And if you don't see it by now, that this is just, it's not just grooming. You know, everyone hears the word grooming as far as their lust and craving for children, but it's more than that. You know, these celebrities, when they have kids, you see how like Pink and Will Smith and all these celebrities, their kids end up trans. Okay, they have alters. They put them through traumatic mind control. These kids vanish. They're not raised by these people. This is how covens work. This is how secret societies work. There's literally people, witches and covens, who literally live on this earth, never have a job, and their whole purpose is to just get knocked up, right? They have kids. They never get birth certificates or anything like that. No one knows they're even there or born, and they sacrifice them. That's what they do. That's what they've been doing. And they get away with it. Now they want your kids. That's what they want. And they want to groom them. And these are all gateways into the occult, which I've talked about. I just did a video on the website talking more about this stuff with, you know, Dungeons and Dragons and things like that. Right? The new Dungeons and Dragons movie I talk about over on the website. What about it? Well, Dungeons and Dragons movie, guess what? They're pretty much openly promoting and getting people indoctrinated in witchcraft because they do spells and stuff in the game. And everyone thinks it's like, oh, you know, you're crazy. It's satanic panic because they've trained everyone's brain to think that. But they're literally doing spells. And many Satanists have said in the 80s that things like that brought them into Satanism. Now, obviously, there's way more stuff now than there was in the 80s to indoctrinate kids. Way more stuff, right? It's not just, you know, Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, there's like 9,000 video games. There's Stranger Things. There's all these shows. There's Sabrina the Witch. There's all the Disney crap. There's this. There's the show Lucifer. I mean, they're just constantly putting Lucifer out there as the good guy, as the victim, right? And who else is the victim in our society these days? All the wicked, right? Right? Because Lucifer is looked at as the victim to all these Satanists. Oh, he was wrongfully cast out. God is wicked and horrible. They read the Bible and they read it backwards. They think of everything the opposite, that God is, you know, he's a controller, he's wicked, he's the worst, et cetera, et cetera. And then in our society today, all the wicked people are the victims. Have you noticed that? Well, that's done by design, right? Who are the people you can't talk about? That's all you got to ask yourself. And I can't talk about them here on YouTube. I'll be gone in 5 seconds. Who are the groups you can't talk about? Can't make fun of because they'll hurt their feelings. Can't question their teachings, right? Victims, right? And they make Lucifer the victim. And that makes them more, you know, that lures them into looking at Satan as the victim because, oh, God is wicked and God is the one who condemns all this stuff here on earth and is the one that says these certain groups of people are, you know, wicked and horrible people and et cetera, you know, disgusting acts. They're performing disgusting acts. They look at it and they're like, that's, you know, God's wicked for thinking that, even though they don't realize that the only reason that they're into that stuff is because they've been brainwashed into it from the media and from the TV shows. They think they're born a certain way when they're not. They're not. They're mind controlled into it. And now if you look around, we live in an insane society. Everyone's lost their minds. The fact that we're even entertaining the idea and having conversations about what a man and a woman is, that we're having conversations about if men can get pregnant, they're having conversations about pronoun. This is stuff that shouldn't even be entertained. There shouldn't be a conversation about it. But it's gotten so insane that people have to debate over this stuff. While the world's burning around us, you're debating over some dude with a wiener is actually a woman and what the definition of, I mean, it's insane. Not only is it a waste of time, it's being empowered by the fact that we're entertaining it in Congress. You see all these debates out there. It's ridiculous. It should just be stiff-armed to the face. Get out. Nope. Okay. Call the paddy wagon, right? Anyway, that's as far as I'm going to go on this rant. So I'm sure this will be taken down. So make sure you sub to the other channel. And again, if you haven't already, go to the free videos thing on the website and submit your email there so you get email notifications of where I am. If you still want content in the future, whether it's free content or you want to know what's going on the website or, you know, things like that. But I highly recommend everybody join the website. It's $3 a month. I mean, literally minimum. It's like working 20 minutes on a minimum wage job for a month's worth of content. And I guarantee you and promise you that I give you more than 20 minutes of a minimum wage job worth of content. I give you, you know, I've done like 3 videos a day the last couple of days. I mean, I'm going to be uploading there, and it's not even about that. It's about the forum. You can interact with other like-minded people. You don't have to worry about censorship, and you can share information, share your own channel, whatever. So hopefully I see more people over there in the future. I thank everyone who is here. Appreciate you guys greatly. God bless you and your families.